In this video, I'm going to go over the art of storytelling. Storytelling is used in creative writing when we write fiction. In other words, when we make up stories. And so here when we have creative writing in this school is going to be English 115, the introduction to literature. So when we write a story, we have something called story structure, and this is a very American story structure. You start out with an opening exposition, then you have conflict between the two characters. Then the conflict or the problem rises to an intolerable level, as if it's not going to ever be solved, until it gets to the climax, which is the most exciting part of the story. The falling action means that the character is in the process of solving the problem until the problem reaches a resolution at the end, in other words, a conclusion. So this is a very American story structure. So the first part is something called the setup. And so in the setup, known as the triggering event or the opening exposition, you want to develop a strong premise. Use the setup to introduce the core idea or concept that will drive the entire story, similar to a thesis statement for an essay. Create compelling characters. Introduce your main characters and establish their goals, motivations, and flaws. Build a gripping opening. Begin with an attention-grabbing scene or event that sets the stage for the story and captures the reader's interest. Conflict. Establish conflict. The confrontation stage is where you introduce and escalate the central conflict or challenge your character will face. Pacing. Use pacing to vary the intensity of scenes with rising action leading to the story's climax. So here, as you have the conflict, we're starting to have the rising action that will lead to the most exciting part of the story, which is the climax. And so here, when you get to, we're still in rising action. And so here you have foreshadowing. You drop hints and foreshadowing throughout Act 2 to build anticipation and intrigue. You create suspense. You keep readers guessing and engaged by revealing information and gradually maintaining tension. So here you're going into rising action. So that here's the story getting more and more excited. You use cliffhangers. You end chapters or sections of Act 2 with cliffhangers to encourage readers to keep turning the pages. You build character relationships. You develop character dynamics and relationships that come into play during the climax. Twists and surprises. Include unexpected plot twists and surprises as the story heads towards its climax. And then as we go into falling action, that means that the characters are starting to solve the problem as they work together. So here you edit and revise after Act 3. Revise and polish your story to ensure it flows smoothly and maintain its thrilling elements. And then you craft a satisfying conclusion for the resolution. So this is where everything gets solved. All right, falling action means that everybody's starting to solve the problem. And then, so in your conclusion, okay, so by integrating these thrilling story elements into the traditional story structure, you can create a narrative that not only follows a logical progression, but also keeps readers engaged, invested, and excited about what happens next. This combination of structure and thrilling storytelling techniques can lead to a compelling and satisfying reading experience. So let's try this with the setup. So we're going to take this from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the setup. Premise. The novel begins with the premise of a journalist, Mikhail Blomqvist, who is hired to solve a cold case involving the disappearance of a wealthy industrialist niece. Simultaneously, a brilliant but troubled hacker named Lisbeth Salander is introduced. So you have compelling characters. Mikael and Lisbeth are complex characters with distinct personalities, motivations, and flaws. Mikael is a dedicated journalist seeking justice, and Lisbeth is a fiercely independent hacker with a traumatic past. Gripping opening. The story starts with Mikael's conviction for libel and his subsequent resignation from his magazine. This scandalous event draws readers into the narrative. So that's the triggering event. And after that, you have the conflict. So Michael and Lisbeth join forces to investigate the decades-old disappearance, uncovering a web of family secrets, corporate corruption, and dark mysteries. They face numerous obstacles, including threats to their safety. So now you're starting the rising action to the climax. The story alternates between intense investigative sequences and character-driven moments, maintaining a balance between action and introspection. Foreshadowing. Hints and clues about the mystery are scattered throughout the narrative, keeping readers intrigued. So as we head towards the climax, as they get closer to the truth, danger escalates and the suspense increases. Rising action. So now we're in rising action, in which everything gets much more and more and more exciting. So several chapters end with cliffhangers, such as threats to the protagonists' lives, shocking discoveries, evolving relationships, and here you have twists and surprises, and here the novel delves into themes of abuse, power, and justice, just as the characters confront the dark secrets of the Wenger family. And then you also introduce the backstories, deepening the backstories of the protagonists, deepening the reader's connection to the main characters. And then you have falling action as the characters start to solve the mystery. Okay, so as they start to solve the mystery, the author carefully crafts the story, editing it for clarity and pacing to maintain tension. In the end, the central mystery is solved and justice is served. The characters experience personal growth, providing closure for the readers. By analyzing the plot design of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo through the lens of story structure, aspiring writers can see how to build a thrilling narrative with well-defined acts of conflict, suspense, and character development. This example showcases how to effectively incorporate these elements into a thrilling story, keeping readers engaged from start to finish. And if you want to learn more about story structure, you should take the English 115 Introduction to Literature class.